We are live!
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We are live. What's going on in the world? What's happening in the life of the living, of the environment? Me and Gabe are on screen together. Has the world imploded?
I feel like we should get in a
It is
slap
2020. What else crazy can happen?
You're not fighting me. This isn't right.
2020. As
20
Barbara Walters has been
Barbara Walters.
predicting 2020 for a very long time. 2020 finally came, and what happened? Barbara Walters did this to all of us, don't you think?
I love how you're just blaming Barbara Walters. Well, listen up, mighty
She's
fans.
been saying 2020 for how many years?
We have
and then
to
when
introduce
2020 comes, look what happens.
Conspiracy theories in a minute. We have to introduce ourselves first. Hello, everybody on the mighty. My name is Gabe Howard, and I used to say with me as always, but with me for the first time in a year is the great, the phenomenal, the incomprehensible
Michelle Hammer,
the founder of the only clothing line started by a schizophrenic girl, Michelle Hammer. Visit her at schizophrenic.nyc.
Schizophrenic.nyc.
And you have masks. I understand that you have masks.
I recently started making some face masks with my artwork on them.
Nice.
I mean, if you're not a mask hater, I can't think of any other mask to buy.
You know why I like the masks? Because I mean, honestly, like
this gets rid of half of your ugly face.
Yeah, this is such an improvement. Like, hi everybody, my name is Gabe is way better than hi, my name is like. I wish I could just wear like a whole mask. Like,
Gabe, I think you're getting into really racist territory right now.
Just I didn't mean to.
Because there's people that walk around like that, Gabe.
Well, it is true for the, but I just, okay. So moving along before we have to settle yet another Gabe and Michelle lawsuit. Here's how this works. Ask your question in the comments. Gabe and Michelle answer them. That's what we're going to do for the next hour. You can follow Michelle and find her clothing line at her website at www.schizophrenic.nyc. That's how you spell it too. That's very helpful because there's like a Z in there. And Michelle designed my book cover. This is how awesome Michelle is. So if you like books with asshole in the title, with covers designed by a woman with schizophrenia, this is the book for you. Michelle, are you ready to answer as many questions as humanly possible?
I am so ready to answer as many questions as humanly possible.
So the first question that I have is, for our fans, what's it like to work with Gabe Howard again?
What's it like to work with Gabe Howard again? Well, I know that he's really loud, so I can be really loud. So working with Gabe Howard just means we're going to be yelling like maniacs the whole time. So for the fans, what's it like to work with Michelle Hammer again?
Oh, Michelle Hammer is great. Right before we got started, Michelle realized that she didn't have coffee. So she had to, of course, jump up and get coffee. And it reminded me of our very first Mighty Live. Remember, we did it at that conference. We did it together. And I said, all right, I'm hitting the live button. And I hit the live button. And Michelle jumped up, ran out of the room, found coffee, and ran back in like 15 seconds. It's the fastest I have ever seen anybody move. So that is what it... So now we've got it bookended. What is up with you and coffee?
I don't know. But here's my question. Can I share this live or no?
Yeah, why can't you share it?
I'm trying to share it, and I don't think I can.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't see the share button.
Are you on Facebook right now?
Yeah.
Michelle, we're doing a live show.
I know, but I'm trying to share I'm answering your questions. I just can't see where I can share this video.
We'll have to share it when it is all over. Michelle, let's talk about COVID-19 for a moment.
COVID-19. Let's talk about it.
Aside from the mask, which is a really cool thing, it's a really cool thing that you're doing for the community. You know, a lot of people are fearful. The masks are new; they're hard to wear. So interjecting a little, art and pizzazz and good feelings into it. I think it's a really good idea. But how is Michelle Hammer doing? You're a person that lives with schizophrenia, so is being quarantined and having everything canceled. Is it difficult for you?
The thing is, I mean, I don't live alone, thank goodness. I'm always surrounded by people, And I know you're supposed to quarantine, but we still take walks every day. We still go places. We socially distance. And, also being schizophrenic, I mean, I keep myself very entertained talking to imaginary people, so it's kind of okay. But if I was completely alone right now and didn't have any roommates, I would be going nuts. I'd be miserable. I would be so just not cool at all. So I'm really thankful that I have a partner and roommates right now, like keeping me sane. But it's not the most fun time in the world. But I usually work from home, so it's a little more fun having everyone work from home right now. Honestly, I'm not having the worst time, gotta say.
I am fascinated because I am having a terrible time because all of my coping skills are now illegal. I just the things that I like to do. I mean, you know, Michelle, you've hung out with me. You know, whether it's go grab a pretzel or get a Diet Coke or just wander around and talk to people or people watch. I'm not able to do it right now. All of those things for the longest time they were like hardcore shutdown.
I know you 8 a.m. every morning, McDonald's.
Yeah, I needed to get, and I would do that, but I have to go to the drive-through and I'd be home. Now it's opening up a little bit now, so I can like sit in the McDonald's lobby, you know, with a mask for a half an hour. It's a limit of a half an hour. But as you know, I used to bring my laptop and like do all of my work. So how are you? Didn't you used to? And please correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you used to like work in coffee shops? Have you found that difficult? You can't do that right now.
I used to like go around working coffee shops, but I've just kind of made do with what's going on, staying home, working there. If I need a break, I just go out. It's annoying. It's not fun to just stay home all the time. But like I said before, like it could be so much worse. Like if this was my senior year of college and I had to stay home in my parents' house, in my bed from when I was younger, that would be so much worse. Like that's how I keep looking at the scenario. Like if I was in high school when I was extremely paranoid and thought my mother was trying to kill me, I would be so much worse. So I look at right now and think this is the best scenario for this situation right now. Honestly.
That's awesome. So we're all doing the best that we can. All right, Michelle, are you ready to answer audience questions?
Finally.
Yay! All right. The first question is coming up.
Just get my coffee down, Gabe.
All right. Cody Parms. Can anxiety cause disorientation as in vision, thinking, focus, etc.? Michelle, you want to go first?
Well, I'm sure there's an actual doctor answer to that, but I'm just going to say what I think the answer is. And I would say yes, because if you're so anxious and you can't think straight, I would say your vision, your thinking, and your focus would be a little out of whack. What do you say, Gabe?
So obviously there's a doctor answer. I'm certain of it. I suffer from an anxiety disorder, and like a panic attack, for example, causes me extreme vertigo, extreme dizziness. I start to sweat all over. My speech becomes like really, really slurred. I can't walk. I'm really wobbly on my feet, which kind of goes with the vertigo and the dizziness. So yeah. Michelle and I actually, once we were hanging out, I had like this really, really bad panic attack, and Michelle was like asking me questions and I was responding like in this real like slow voice and the words didn't quite go together. And I sounded horrible. And it was, we taped it because, you know, we were podcasters and we thought, hey, if we're going to have a panic attack, we might as well find a way to get it out to the masses. And it was very disorienting to listen back to it and realize like how messed up I was. Like I was really impressed with Michelle for being able to conduct like an interview and lead a podcast with the mess that I was. Do you remember that?
I think I do.
What did you like? What was your, because you recorded me for like an hour, which kudos. What was your like general thought process of my general behavior?
I think you were just kind of like not Gabe, because you're usually bubbly and talking, but you more were like, and you like you couldn't get words out, which is like the opposite of you. So that was the weirdest thing about it. You were like, I've never seen you not be able to speak, Gabe. Like you always have something to say about everything. So if you can't speak, something's not right.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cardi. Oh, excuse me. Thank you so much, Cody, for the next
What are you gonna
question.
call him? Cardi B?
Cody P.
Cardi B?
Cardi B. I don't know Cardi B. Remember, I'm 100.
Okay, boomer.
Oh. All right, ready for the next question? I'll let you read this one.
Okay.
It's coming. I can feel it. There it is.
Could you explain more about bipolar disorder and generalized anxiety disorder? www.
Don't. Do you want me to take bipolar disorder since I live with bipolar disorder and
Sure.
you take generalized anxety disorder since
I'll Google that while you're talking.
All right, so I'll go first. So bipolar disorder in its like simplest way is extreme highs all the way to extreme lows. So, godlike mania, you think you're the best there ever was, king of the world, consequence-free environment, nothing can stop you, you are the greatest ever, all the way down to the opposite of that, suicidal depression, which is you're garbage or junk, nobody would miss you if you died. Now, this is the part that I like to get people to focus on. So those are the two extremes, hence bipolar, the two poles. But there's also back and forth. You're moving along that spectrum. So you're not always at the highest and you're not always at the lowest. Sometimes you're in the middle. Sometimes you're just a little bit manic, a little bit depressed. Sometimes you're in the middle again. And you're just kind of, just moving back and forth along that spectrum. That is the best definition that I can give for bipolar disorder. It's just sort of a whiplash effect between these two extremes, sometimes hanging out at one pole or extreme or the other for an extended period of time, and then sometimes just being, right smack in the middle and being normal or typical. Did you Google?
Possibly, or I just know this off the top of my head. But generalized anxiety disorder, it can be characterized by persistent and excessive worry about a number of different things. So you ever have that friend that always thinks they're gonna die and they're anticipating disaster about money, health, family, work, whatever it is? There's generalized anxiety disorder. Always bugging out about something, always worried about something, never can just live life, always freaking out. That's generalized anxiety disorder.
And of course, it interferes with the activities of daily living, right? Like
Yes.
all mental, like if you're just kind of a worry wart, my grandmother, she's a worrier. She's a worrier. She's an old Catholic woman. She's just constantly worried. That's not really generalized anxiety disorder. She's just constantly worried about her favorite grandchild. So it has to interfere in some way. It has to prevent you from leaving the house or getting a job or, hanging out with friends or eating somebody. It has to be causing you some sort of suffering.
Gabe, I have a question for you. Would you say being scared to be a driver would be some sort of generalized anxiety disorder if you're scared to drive a car?
So it certainly could be, right? That's it. Remember, life is not so easy, but it certainly could be. It also could be the result of a trauma. Like for example, if when you were 10 years old, you got in a really, really bad car accident. Generalized anxiety isn't specific, right? If you're just afraid of the car, that's very specific anxiety. Whereas
it's more like every day.
Anxiety,
oh no, I think I have my knee hurts. I think I broke my knee. I need to go to the hospital. Oh no, I can't breathe. I gotta go to the hospital. Oh no, this is happening to me. We're all gonna die. What's going on? 2020, 2020, 2020. We're all gonna die. 2020, we're all gonna die. 2020, we're all gonna die.
Well, I think the issues with 2020 is well founded in the world right now. I don't think that's generalized anxiety because a lot has happened to us. It's a collective trauma, right? We're one of and let me finish. One of the silver linings to the pandemic is it's forcing people to see things the way Gabe and Michelle have seen things for our whole entire lives, right? We've talked about, the trauma of having mental illness and the depression and the anxiety and the issues. We understand that because that's just been our reality forever. Well, now because of the quarantine, all of society is feeling this sense of dread and this sense of not knowing what's going to happen next. And this anger that things that they love are being taken away from them for no apparent reason and for something that they feel that they didn't do and that they didn't cause. And it's not fair, right? It's not fair that we're here. Nobody did anything wrong. So why is bad stuff happening to us? This has been the reality for people with severe and persistent mental illness their whole entire lives. And society is now getting some little, small, tiny taste of what that is like. It's not mental illness for all of society, but it is a trauma. This has been a traumatic experience. Wouldn't you agree there, Ms. Hammer?
I'm just glad I don't have kids.
Man, my sister keeps saying that, except she has a 5-year-old. Are you ready for the next question? All right, Abby Wickett. I have BPD, and they are questioning. I have borderline personality disorder, and they are now questioning possible bipolar as well. Does anybody on here have both? And if so, what is it like, and what are the treatments for bipolar? Well, out of that question, I think, Michelle, have you been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder?
I have not.
You might want to look that up.
I know what BPD is.
I'm just teasing you. So I guess none of us have both. I have not been diagnosed with both. You have schizophrenia. So, but we can talk about the treatments for bipolar disorder. The treatments for bipolar disorder and the treatments for schizophrenia are pretty much exactly the same. So, Michelle, do you want to answer what are the treatments for bipolar by answering what are the treatments for schizophrenia?
Well, I would say the treatments for these ailments really are psych meds. You might have to take an antidepressant, possibly a benzo, maybe an antipsychotic, mood stabilizers, anything like that. Fun. Yes, always go to your doctor, anything that you need. And when you're prescribed something, don't get upset. And then don't be upset if you have BPD and now you're being told you're bipolar, because the more right diagnosis that you do get, the better treatment you will then get. And then you can be treated for the right thing, and then you will only get better. So don't be all bummed out that maybe you have another illness and this, and this. As soon as they figure the whole thing out, it's even like better. But really, if you have to take a whole bunch of medications, don't see that as a bad thing. Sometimes you might have to take one and then one for side effects. But what was my answer, Gabe? It was the antidepressants, antipsychotics, which I hate the word antipsychotic. I think it should be called pro-stabilizer, in my opinion.
Hey, no, I like it. So, no, Michelle, you're right. You know, med management is important in the treatment of bipolar disorder and many other mental illnesses. But also, you know, so is therapy, so is support groups, so are things like community supports. And Michelle, you live in New York City, and you have one of the most awesome supportive community supports in Fountain House. And I know that has been a huge part of your recovery. So, you know, we know all the standbys, you know, medication, therapy, support groups, those are all very, very valuable. But, you know, a lot of people don't know about like clubhouses and other community models like the Fountain House. Michelle, can you talk about Fountain House is probably the biggest and the best in the entire country, but they have lots of smaller ones in other places. Michelle, can you talk about Fountain House?
Yeah, Fountain House is just it's not actually a house. It's really just called Fountain House. And in there are different kind of units. And to become a member, you have a mental illness, and then you pick a unit. You can work like in the kitchen, you can work in the horticulture, home and garden, you can go to wellness, you can go to education, you can go to this. And you just work there, you hang out there, you complete projects, and then you're surrounded by all like-minded people and a lot of social workers, and everyone is so nice and it's so much fun. There's an art gallery there, which you get to be a part of as well if you get into different art exhibitions. Right now, of course, it's closed, but there's still a lot of online stuff going on, and it's a great resource, and it makes you feel not so much alone. And I hope they see this, because I posted this little live thing in the, Fountain House community Facebook page. So, hey guys, if you're watching.
And Michelle, there's also, in addition to all of those things, which I feel are incredible and just as important in my opinion as medication and therapy. But additionally, living, you lost your. There we go. Living with mental illness is, of course, very, very difficult, especially to get, things like insurance and if you need disability or, help with a job and things like that. Those are all things that the Clubhouse model and places like Fountain House help out with as well. Filling out government paperwork, finding supports if you're trying to get back to work and things like that. Has that been helpful for you?
So helpful. They have been so helpful for me for filling out paperwork, all that kind of stuff. And then it's also helpful is that sometimes when other people need help writing things, they'll be, Michelle, can you help him write that? So it's also like you help other people too, and it makes you feel like maybe you're like, yay, I have something important to do, or I show people certain things, and you just feel like important, and you just hang out, and you meet the most fun people there too. And what's great is nobody is judgmental. It's just fun, and you can do art projects, you can do fun projects. Sometimes I just bring my computer and do work, but it's just like you just meet the coolest people. I love it.
I know that we sort of got off on a little tangent there about the treatment for borderline or for bipolar disorder. But it's important to know. I think everybody knows about medication and therapy and going to the doctor, and those are very important. I don't want to poo-poo those in any way. But there's just so many other things that people miss. And I sometimes think the Clubhouse model and the peer support model and peer centers and drop-in centers. They're just often missed. Please Google them in your community and see if you have one. Michelle, are you ready for the next question?
I was going to add, because you don't feel so alone. There.
Agreed. See, I have Michelle, so I never feel alone.
You missed one. Okay.
Oh, did there we go.
Can bipolar come with waves of psychosis? Gabe?
Yes.
Yes, again.
I have bipolar disorder with psychotic features. So I have had psychosis. It's the specific thing that happened to me in terms of psychosis was delusions. I felt that something was out to get me. There were demons under my bed that were trying to kill my wife and eat my brains and hurt me when I slept and hurt other people. And that was, it was so incredibly devastating because of course I acted on this. I believed that demons were trying to hurt my family. So, I set up a perimeter around my house to save her because I didn't want her to die. So now I'm outside in just in the winter wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants, and I'm walking a perimeter to keep the demons who are in the trees from breaking into the house. And it's the middle of the night. Now the neighbors are involved. And of course my wife is terrified, and it's just, yes. So the answer to the question is, can bipolar come with waves of psychosis? Yes. And it is treatable. Michelle, I know that you have gone through more than your fair share of experiences with psychosis. Can you speak on it?
My experience with psychosis? It's what's recently happened. I've had experiences like before where I've taken, I had a problem breathing, so because I have asthma, so I've taken like a steroid for your asthma. Recently, I had trouble breathing. I went on a different kind of inhaler for my asthma. Breathed way too much. Went totally into a psychosis episode. Things were just not making any sense. I was seeing things, hearing things. Everything went a little wonky. And then I said, I will not be taking that much of that medicine anytime soon. But another thing that I do is that if you go to my Instagram, Schizophrenic NYC, I have a little security camera that I set up, just watches me on my couch. And it catches me having a complete psychosis episode on my couch whenever I finally get it. I think I catch myself more, but I don't realize that I catch myself. So I probably have way more video than I think I do. But when I catch myself, I make a video, I put it up, and I say, this is what a psychotic episode looks like. And it's completely not dangerous. It's not violent. It's me talking to myself on the couch, laughing hysterically. Sometimes I look mad at somebody. Sometimes I look confused. Sometimes I look frustrated. But really, that's all it is. And that's what I just try to show people. And people are like, you're so brave for sharing that. And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to show people, look, this is a psychotic episode. Do I look dangerous? I'm laughing while I'm sitting on a couch. And trust me, certain ones, you don't even know what I was doing in those. And I was like, I can't use that. I'm sorry. That is inappropriate. that cannot be used. That is inappropriate. Wait a minute. Why don't I have shorts on? Damn it. Inappropriate.
This isn't live streaming, right?
No, it doesn't live stream.
So my next question, Michelle, is that's what it looks like, but how does it feel to you? Do you even know when you review the footage? Are you surprised to see it in there? Like in your mind, was everything hunky dory normal, or did you know that something was going on?
The only thing I know about when to check is that I'll and then I go, oh, I think I just caught myself. Let me check my phone to check the thing, and then I see it all, and I had no idea I did any of that.
And how does that? I mean, you're essentially losing time. What's that like?
It's like have you ever like been watching TV and you're watching it, but then you realize you watched 30 minutes and you have no idea what that episode was about?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Where'd the time go?
Yeah.
What have you been doing that entire time?
It's like spacing out, only more extreme and more often.
It's spacing out, going to a new world, and then thinking that I'm there, talking to the people. But when I posted those videos before, people have said like, well, there's no sound. What are you saying? The thing is, when I'm doing it, I usually don't make any sound. I just move my lips and make gestures. And if I do make sound, it's because something bad is happening and I'm trying to get out of it. I'll be like, "Da!" Because I'm trying to snap out of whatever's going on because something scary or bad is happening.
Gotcha.
So that's why there's no sound.
Michelle is awesome, and her Instagram is uber cool. She posts lots of inspirational quotes, and of course, you can see a lot of her clothing line. And she has the coolest models. I mean, you live in New York City, Michelle, so you've already got like a leg up, and your fashion line is and your art is uber awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you're not following her on Instagram, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Like
yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Like you must be watching us on the Mighty or something.
Yeah, like 20,000 people can't be wrong. So check it out. All right, are you ready for the next question there, Ms. Hammer?
I hope I am, because if I'm not...
Yeah, you're just embarrassed on live television. Yeah, I'll let you read this one.
Question. I'm a parent of a bipolar child. How do you suggest a parent should respond to bipolar rage episodes / tantrums to ensure the child and others stay safe, but boundaries and support are present? That's a parenting question.
Yeah, that's a big one. So here's where it's tough, right? On one hand, you don't want to punish somebody. I'm going to go over here. On one hand, you don't want to punish somebody for the symptoms of of any illness. If we rearrange the question, I'm the parent of a child with a physical illness. How do you suggest that I respond to vomiting? Should I just let them vomit all over the place, or should I get angry? And of course the answer to that question is you'd want to set up boundaries, like carry a bucket around, maybe put down a tarp. I mean, you've got to get creative in those ways. You say a bipolar child, and that of course handcuffs us a little bit because we don't know how old the child is.
Yeah, how old's the kid?
Yeah, some children don't have the ability to do this without severe and persistent mental illness, just because of their age, and all children mature at different ages. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to set up clear and consistent guidelines when there's no problem. I'm very fond of saying that the best time to have a fire drill is before the house catches on fire. Because trying to learn how to get out of a building when the building is on fire is pandemonium. So figure out what these things are. The bipolar rage episode, the tantrum, etc. You've got to decide that your room. You have to go to your room. I understand you can't control your emotions, etc., but you have to have these emotions in your room, and then make sure that the room is a safe place, and get them to that, and work with them together as a partnership when everybody is well, where you make this, a thing, like for example, if it was me, Gabe, I understand that you're struggling, and I understand you're not able to control your emotions. Let's go to your room. I'll get you set up there. I'll bring you a glass of water. I'll shut the door. And then when everything is okay, we can talk, but just stay in your room for now. And whatever happens, happens. So try to make those connections and those compromises. That tends to be the best way forward. Fully acknowledging that, it's a bipolar rage episode and tantrums for a reason, unfortunately. And they're not always easy to control through boundaries and and discussion and agreements and things like that. It's also something that's very, very important to bring up to a psychiatrist, because it is one of the things that can be treated with the appropriate and proper medications, because obviously you want to take the emotions that are this wide and therefore difficult to manage and make them this wide, which are much easier to manage. And then keep going to therapy. The last thing that I'll say is, Rachel, you yourself, if you are not in therapy for yourself, not for you and your child, not for about just for yourself, you're going through a lot here as well. So don't forget self-care, because it's often missed. And the more stable and relaxed and healthier you are, the better support you'll be for your child. Michelle, anything to add?
I think you covered it all, because I stopped listening, so you definitely
That's
covered
fair.
it all.
Nice.
If that makes any sense.
No, it makes no sense whatsoever. You ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right, it's you. You go.
My mom wants me to go to inpatient. I go to therapy and take meds. I'm having a hard time functioning. I'm not harmful to myself or others, but through group therapy already. Been through group therapy already. What would inpatient do that I'm not doing? Inpatient, what inpatient does, Gabe's been there for 2 days. I've been there 3 times. Okay. Inpatient, I can say, you go there, they do med checks. Sometimes they do some group therapy. You'll talk to a doctor. Most likely, any inpatient I ever did, they adjusted my medicine, and sometimes we did group therapy, but mostly we were really bored. So hopefully whatever inpatient you go to wasn't a horrible one like I went to. That's really not helpful at all. Why does your mom want you to go to inpatient? Maybe your meds aren't working the right way. I would love to know why. You're saying you're having a hard time functioning. So if you're having a hard time functioning, why don't you want to go to inpatient? But if you're having a hard time functioning, does your therapist know you're having a hard time functioning? So just because you're not harmful to yourself or others, you are not having a good time functioning. So if it's interfering with your life, do you want to fix it? So, but you're not harmful, but then tell me what's not functioning right? What's not functioning? You're not harmful, but what's not right? What's going on? You could try inpatient. If you check yourself in, then it's easier to check yourself out than if you get checked in 5150'd, then you're more stuck. Right, Gabe?
So yeah, sometimes Michelle talks and I think, oh my God, don't say that. And sometimes Michelle talks and I think, yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but that's so true. It is boring, right? It's incredibly boring.
It's incredibly boring. I'm trying to tell the truth. Like, it's really boring, but like everything is different. A little off topic. My friend went to rehab. I said, how was rehab? She goes, it was like summer camp. I had the greatest time. I'm like, what? So therefore, do you see what I'm saying?
I thought you froze. I was like,
no, I didn't freeze, but I'm just saying every inpatient is going to be different. I know I have a friend that went to a psych ward at the same place 3 separate times, and she said it was the best psych ward she's ever been to. If she ever wanted to go back to a psych ward, she would go there. It was the best place she's ever been.
One of the things that I would say,
all
Dana,
different.
One of the things that I would say, Dana, is how are you feeling about this? Like that's really important. And I think there might be a reason that you're asking the question. If you were positive that this isn't what you needed to do, then I don't think you'd ask the question. And if you're worried, if you're scared, hospitals are boring. I mean, I don't mean like mental or psychiatric. I mean, like, hospitals are boring. My father broke his leg on his motorcycle and spent 3 days in the hospital. He's bored off his mind, but that's where he needed to be because he needed orthopedic surgery. He needed the bone reset and they needed to, weld a pin in. And that's just not the kind of stuff that you can do that's safe to do by going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I see here you have anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression, those are really big deals. Anxiety can lead to paranoia. Depression can lead to suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts can lead to acting on it. Michelle is right. It's not a good experience, but when is a hospital supposed to be a good experience? It's like saying, I'm not going to go to the dentist and get my cavity fixed because I'm afraid of the drill and the dentist is not fun. It's not supposed to be. I think that you're asking the question because on some level you understand or agree with your mom. And I think it's important to maybe overreact and get more help than you need rather than less help. And finally, Michelle's absolutely right. If you take the initiative to check yourself in, you will have an easier time checking yourself out. So if you are getting close to the edge where you could be pink slipped, 5150, whatever it's called in your area, you will have a lot more control if you go to the emergency room, go to the hospital yourself and say, hey, I think I need a little extra help.
You don't want to show up in handcuffs.
Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun.
Trust me.
Michelle knows. Yeah. All right, you ready for the next question there, Hammer?
Well, if I said no, would that be an option? I'm kidding. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, Allie Strong. What is the difference between schizophrenia and bipolar with psychotic attributes? Or is it attributes?
Attributes.
My bad.
Jeez, Gabe.
Sorry, I was conversating with you.
Oh gosh, I can't believe you just said that. What is the difference? Bipolar with psychotic attributes. Well, bipolar is more of a mood disorder, right?
Bipolar has bipolar has mania, whereas schizophrenia stereotypically does not have mania.
But I get bouts of mania on occasion.
You are unusual, though.
I'm just loud.
Yeah, I don't know that it's mania where it's that you check out and you just start yelling. And that you're just generally confident. There's no slam in there.
Not a label, just a personality thing.
But your personality is very, you're a New Yorker. You are very over the top. I mean, you and I have worked together for a long time. I don't, when we're on stage and you've got a microphone and you're yelling to a crowd, you're not manic, but you are, you're very loud. And, Michelle is a tiny woman. It's so disgusting. Like, here is Michelle and here is me. Like just to put you like that's what we looked like on stage, and you command more presence than I do. So I don't know that you have mania, Michelle. I think that you're just badass. Sincerely.
I am badass. I ran from the cops 3 times. Boom.
I got nothing. So but the big difference is the spectrum. It is suicidal depression all the way to God.
No, I didn't. That was a lie.
People with schizophrenia tend to stay in the same general stratosphere. They don't have access to their faculties, whether it's hallucination, audio, visual, etc. It's the moods that don't fluctuate quite as much. Those are the big differences. Bipolar with psychotic attributes has actually been changed now, and there's like schizoaffective disorder, so it's closer to schizophrenia. Things are constantly changing. I was diagnosed back in 2003, and there's a decent chance, I don't know for certain, but there's a decent chance that if Gabe Howard was diagnosed in 2020, I might have schizoaffective disorder or something else. I'm not trying to play the re-diagnosis game, but it's important to consider that the science on this is constantly changing. So bipolar disorder with psychotic features has a lot more in common with schizophrenia than it doesn't. That's one of the reasons that they're constantly shifting the thinking, the science, and the treatment for all of these things. So I'm sorry, Allie, that we don't have like a really awesome straight up answer. But Michelle and I are not researchers, so that's kind of as close as we can get. You have anything to add there? Bubbly personality? Nothing?
Schizoaffective.
This is you.
Schizoaffective.
Tiny. You're just
the difference between schizophrenia and bipolar with psychotic attributes is one's called schizophrenia and one's called schizoaffective. That's my answer. No, I don't know. Yeah, you said a good answer because I can't go on top of that because I just know that bipolar is more of a mood disorder. There's mood disorder, and then I guess you're getting the psychotic kind of seeing things, hallucinations, stuff like that, delusions, and that's all. Sounds like a good time.
You're killing it.
Write a book about it. Write a book about it.
Hey. Somebody asked, I don't know if they're going to pop it up, but they asked if we miss podcasting together.
I don't know who you are. You.
Who am I? There
Who
it
are you?
is. Ashmon, Michelle.
Ashmon.
Do you miss
Ashmon.
Michelle? Do you miss podcasting with me?
I mean, sometimes.
So mean. So mean. I'm going to ask a different way. Michelle, do you miss my dog?
Yes, I miss your dog, Peppy. Peppy.
Oh, I do. Yes. Do I miss podcasting with me? Yeah, absolutely. I do miss it. It's such an incredible amount of work, and I spent so much time with Michelle, and now I don't have Michelle. I mean, she used to be at my house for days. We talk every day. I mean, we did everything. We traveled. We met
People's Court.
we watched People's Court. Michelle and I, we did so many cool things, and obviously we did cool things public facing. But Michelle and I were in West Virginia like a year and a half ago, and we met a woman who was a transgendered woman who was running for city council, and she won.
Oh, dude, I was just talking to her.
Yeah, the first ever.
I was just talking to her. I was like, then I told her, congratulations, you're changing the world. Literally,
and we met her before, when she was like just thinking about running, and she was just like a mental health person. We met her at a conference, and I think about, like, now that that's what you want, I go all the way back to that moment, and I would not have met her if not for Michelle, and we would not have, shared that experience. We wouldn't, and then she and I would not be Facebook friends. I wouldn't have gotten to see her campaign kind of from the backside and support her and follow her. And then ultimately she won and made national news. And
I know.
And none of that would have happened without that podcast. So yeah, it's of course I miss it. It's probably one of the best things I ever did in my life. She misses my dog. Yeah, I don't miss that. Don't miss that at all. Next question.
I feel like most people waver between those two extremes as life in general. What is the line of determining factors that would have someone diagnosed as bipolar? I think the difference is, I think Gabe would agree, is that if it interferes with you living your best life, if it gets in the way, if your depressive episodes stop you from getting out of bed and living your life, that's not good. If your manic uppity up episodes are so out of control that people are telling you to be quiet and get off the bartender, whatever thing, stop pouring drinks all over yourself, maybe that's a little too extreme too. You know what I'm saying, Gabe?
I do. So here's the, Jessica, you're right. People do waver between two extremes. We want to have emotions. We want to have an emotional range, right? Otherwise, we're my grandfather. I joke, my grandfather is just always, he's always this. He's never happy. He's never sad. He's just always right in the middle. That's my grandfather's personality. That's not a bad thing in any way. And then, before diagnosis, I can't figure out which hand is moving. I was like this. That's just way too wide to control. And the medication and the treatment helped me get to here. Now, over here is happiness, even excitement. And I'm glad I still have that. And over here is sadness and regret. And I'm glad I still have that. But these are in the realm, I can control it. I don't get so excited that I spend all of my money and quit my job and move to a different city and live out of my suitcase and leave my wife and all of the other things that used to happen during mania. And over here, I'm not so low that I contemplate suicide, give away my stuff, or really get into harm's way and not take care of myself, which could ultimately lead to me being injuring others, or die myself. And by injuring others, I mean because I'm not taking care of them or not taking care of myself, which could put them in harm's way. So Michelle's right. The line of determining factor is it interfering with the activities of daily living? Is it preventing you from taking care of yourself, taking care of others, meeting the expectations of your life? If you're not going to work, if you're spending all of your money, these are like really big telltale signs. And now I can manage that. I'm really excited right now. It's the first time I work with Michelle in a year. Yay! But I'm not sending her all my money. But 10
You
years
should.
ago, 10 years ago, I would have been so excited to work with Michelle. I'd have bought her a first class ticket. I'd have said we had to do the Mighty Live from a resort in Malibu. And it would have just been all this excitement and grandiosity and manic
I don't know
energy.
why we didn't. Wait. We should have done that.
Yeah, if I paid for it, I'm sure you would have loved it. But that would have been my thinking before. So as excited as I am to be here, it's controlled. Gabe Untreated would have just had these pie in the sky ideas. We would have flown all over, would have done all these things, and I would have spent my mortgage money or my car payment money to do it because I would have felt like it was important. It was important, and that's what we have to look at.
Gotcha, sir. Gotcha, sir.
Aw, thank you, Jessica. You're awesome. All right. I think there's a question coming up for Michelle.
Oh, no. What could it be? I'm excited. No. Are we supposed to answer these kinds of questions? Hi, Michelle. What's the best medicine you find for schizophrenia? I've tried Abilify and Zyprexa, both great at first and lose their touch.
I would answer it specifically from how do you find the right medication for you? Because obviously the medication that Michelle takes isn't going to work for Bridie Marie, but how did you find your cocktail? It took a long time.
It did. It took a long time for me to find the right cocktail for my medication because at 18, I was told I was bipolar. I was put on bipolar meds. They did not work for me because I was not bipolar. Went off those meds, threw them out, went to another hospital. They put me on more meds. They didn't work out because I had side effects that I didn't know about at the time, what it was and how to fix it. So I got rid of that medication. Then I found a new doctor, got a new medication that was like, just take this 3 times a day. Okay, but the thing was, if you missed 3 times a day, you kind of went up, crash down once you missed it. And then once you crashed down, you didn't want to take your medicine because you were already in the crazy voices in your head. After college, when I was diagnosed with schizophrenia at age 22, first started with maybe a benzo, wasn't really sure. Then started something like an antidepressant. Maybe I needed something to do with the side effects of that. Started with an antipsychotic. Then eventually I needed some sort of something for like concentration thing and things to relax as well. It took a while to just get on the right med regimen, but it all happened, one at a time. I wouldn't say, the best medicine is the best for everyone. You have to work with your doctor and try each one and see what helps you. Sometimes one you take might need something for side effects. Sometimes you're taking the right medication, you just need a different dose. There's no magic pill that works for everybody. Every pill works for a different person. Just like when you go into like a Rite Aid, CVS, Duane Reade, there, if you have a headache, there's this counter, and it's Tylenol, ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin. I can't tell you which one of those are going to work best for you. You only know by trying each one which one will work best for you. And really, that's what I can tell you. What do you think about that, Gabe?
Yeah, everything that Michelle said is spot on. It's important to give these the experiences that you're having to your provider. Oftentimes people are like, well, I tried this medication and it didn't work, so medication didn't work, or I have to give up. And it's a frustrating process, right, Michelle? It's an incredibly frustrating process, but it is a process that you have to get through and that you have to go through. And one of the things that we believe, and that is shown through research that really helps, is making sure that your doctor gets accurate information about the side effects you're having, about the issues that you're having, and just keep reporting it, because small changes and adjustments and dosages, they make a really big difference. And I think it's vital that you keep pushing forward because you're worth it. And mental illness is not any small thing. I think sometimes we don't take it seriously enough. Not for a shameless plug, but it's one of the reasons that I call my book Mental Illness is an Asshole, because it's an asshole illness. And you think that you understand it, you think that you know what's going on, and then you don't. And nobody would expect an asshole to just become reasonable all of a sudden. So it's why I use it as an analogy. Because if there is an asshole in our life, we always keep our guard up. We're always prepared. We're always watching. We're always making sure that we're safe around the asshole. We don't get complacent. And sincerely, I think that is a strong analogy that has certainly had meaning in my life, and it helps me. Your mileage may vary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are you ready for the next one?
I'm so ready.
I struggle with brain fog when I interact with people. My mind just goes blank just like that. I couldn't able to explain stuff because of this. Please suggest. You got any thoughts there? You have a lot of brain fog when you, especially in large groups, Michelle. How do you handle that?
It kind of sounds like this is like maybe some scattered thoughts, perhaps. If I'm feeling like brain fog, if I interact with people, there's too many things I don't know what to say. You know, maybe plan one thing to say if you're going to be in a situation when you're going to act with people, when you're going to interact with people. Plan out. Maybe like you're going to say just always, hello, how are you? How was your day? And maybe you have like a plan of actions, like make steps. And if anything just goes off the radar, just kind of like have something like as a backup. Because, you know, I've gotten brain fog too. I mean, I think brain fog really mostly came out every time I went to the therapist when I was forced to. How are you doing today? Fine. You want to tell me what's going on with your life? Nothing's happening. You know, when you get that brain fog, when you're forced to go to a therapist and you don't want to go and all of a sudden you just can't remember anything. That's happened to me many times. But if you're around a bunch of people and you kind of just get nervous and anxious, I would just say come up with a plan. And I don't think it's that wrong to actually write some ideas on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket, perhaps. If it makes you feel less anxious, I think that is kind of a good idea. What do you think, Gabe?
I like that you said write some ideas on a piece of paper. You can also take notes when people are talking. I have a friend that does that, and she does it like it works out really, really well for her. She just keeps a little in her purse, and she just write, you know, like while people are talking, especially in large groups, she just jots down little notes of things that she wants to comment on. Also, you know, in your circle of friends, just be honest. The number of times that I have looked at somebody and said, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't hear a thing that you said. Or, you know, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're talking about. Or, I'm really sorry, I spaced out for a moment, I zoned out. Can you please help me by just repeating the last thing that you said? My friends are really cool with that. And, even, Michelle and I are on, a live show, we're doing this. And if Michelle said something and I said, Michelle, I didn't follow that. Can you say it again? She'd repeat it right now in front of everybody on a video that's on the Mighty that's going to last forever because we help each other out. I think that's really important in personal settings, just to let people know that you might need a little help. And I think that's good. In more professional settings, take notes, consider recording things on your cell phone so that you can listen back later. Those are, of course, some ideas. But of course, and if you can, even in professional settings, let people know that, I don't understand. Can you please repeat it? Just advocate for yourself. I think that it's valuable and important.
Yeah. If you're bringing up just completely not listening to people as they're speaking, I would have to say that I do that all the time. Ask people to repeat themselves all the time. I zone out all the time and just can't listen to a lot of directions that I'm told. I can ask people to repeat things like 3 times. So I'll just be like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? What? If they get frustrated, it's unfortunate for them.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You got to be patient. You got to be patient with certain people.
And you got to figure out what works. When Michelle and I were working together, we always found that writing things down, sending an email, like here are the 8 steps that we need to do. And the thing is that's not uncommon, right? I suggest this. I suggest this a lot. Figure out, write things down, keep notes, email somebody afterwards and make sure and make sure that they understand. People are like, oh, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to be different. Every lawyer in America wishes the whole world was different. Committing things to writing is good advice. It's not good mental health advice. It's not good mental illness advice. It's not good it's just good advice. That way there are no misunderstandings. That's why contracts exist. So I think it's very important that we don't make all of our behaviors look like they're bad, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Some of our behaviors are it's just a really, really good idea. So you don't have to say that you have mental illness. Just say, hey, I learn better when things are written down. I like to double check my work by comparing it to something that's written. There's all kinds of different, some learners are visual, some learn by doing, some learn by lecture, some learn by written instruction. I am always shocked at people who can learn by YouTube videos. We're all different, and it's not always because
I love YouTube video tutorials.
I got nothing. I don't know how.
What are you looking up though? What are you looking up? I look up makeup.
Oh, I looked up, my toilet was running and I wanted to replace the little gunks inside.
Okay, no, I don't look that up. That's
so I watched the video and then I broke my toilet and it cost $300 to fix.
I look other stuff up that I can't say.
All right, Michelle. So we are almost out of time. Michelle, do you have any last words? Where can people find you? Where can people find your art? Tell everybody who you are and where you live.
I am Michelle Hammer, creator and founder of Schizophrenic NYC. I live in New York City. You can find me on Instagram at schizophrenic.nyc, Twitter, schizophrenic NY, Facebook, schizophrenic NYC. Check me out, hit me up, have me come speak at your event, but now through Zoom. So I'll Zoom chat your event. You know it. Hit me up. Schizophrenic.nyc. Don't be paranoid. You look great.
That's my favorite tagline. My name is Gabe Howard. Thank you so very, 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 very much. You can check out my book, Mental Illness is an Asshole. It's cheaper to get it from my website, gabehoward.com. I'll sign it. I'll put in a bunch of stickers. The thing is huge, I swear. You can also check out my podcast, Not Crazy, just psychcentral.com/not crazy, or just look up Not Crazy on your favorite podcast player. I'm also the host of the Psych Central podcast. But really, if you go to gabehoward.com, you're going to find everything, including the book. I try to make it cool. Michelle, did you have fun?
I had the best time of my life. I had the time of my life. Did you know that's on Amazon Prime right now, that movie?
Dirty
I
Dancing?
owe it all to you. Is it on Amazon Prime or Netflix? It's on something. I was watching it the other day.
Look, I don't know. I'm watching.
You don't know what movie I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
No idea, Michelle. All right.
You don't know Dirty Dancing? You don't know Dirty Dancing?
I know Dirty Dancing. Patrick Swayze.
I had the time.
Now wave.
Oh my God. Gabe.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Spin real.